My wife and kids are quick to anger. Sometimes it's explosive, like a Moab, mother of all bombs. Other times it's a slow, grinding war of attrition. Being a student of your podcast, I've learned the worst strategy is to directly attack their fortified emotional position. It seems like this is a good opportunity to employ the flanking maneuver. How do I effectively flank their anger without appearing weak?
Okay, first of all, flank yourself, because that appearing weak thing, that's pretty much in your head. Really, it is. It's legitimately in your head, and that's the first thing you need to do. That's your ego talking when you don't want to, when they hit you with something that they're angry at, the thing that's hitting back is ego. That's what's hitting back. So first thing you got to do is, okay, I'm going to check my ego right now because I'm going to win the long war. In fact, you have to be careful when you stay calm when everyone else is angry. You have to actually be careful not to come across as aloof or, arrogant.
Yeah.
Like when people are getting mad, okay, for instance, if your wife is super mad about something and you show no emotions and you don't get mad at all, they get madder sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You don't even care about this,
Yeah.
So so you gotta give a little bit, I'm not saying it, a little bit of, hey, I get it, right? But then what you want to do is absorb. Oh, they want to get mad? Cool. Absorb. Take the screaming. Give the head nod of understanding in a only marginally emotional way that pretty much communicates that I understand you're mad and I'm listening and I hear you. I get it. And let them get it out of their system. Just let them get it out of their system. Then let them calm down. And then after you've given them the time to kind of calm down and settle down, and I mean, it's longer than you think. It's longer than you think. Let them, when you think they're calm, wait an extra 45 minutes, if not 2 hours, probably 2 hours, because they're not calm.
To be safe,
they just stop screaming, right? They're not calm.
Right.
So, and then what you do is you kind of take it on yourself. You're going to own it, right? And you say something like, hey, that thing that made you mad, I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. What can I do better to make sure that you don't get mad about that, right? You take ownership of that. What do I need to adjust? And what exactly is it that I did that frustrated you? What is it that frustrated you? What can I do to stop it? Maybe it wasn't me. Maybe you're mad at the printer. Sure. But, how can we fix that? Because I don't want you to. And then, so you have that kind of conversation. And, you're going to slide something tactfully in there. Tactfully. Because, again, you're still dealing with, possible flare-up scenarios happening. So, but you say something like, we both know that nobody benefits when people lose their temper, right? I mean, we got to be careful. It doesn't do us any good when people lose their temper. Everyone knows that, right? So you slide those things in there. You're giving that kind of like a little mini lecture indirectly about what's happening. And then when you have other conversations, now we're in just a normal day-to-day thing. You drop things about temper. You talk about temper being, it's a weakness, and it's no one makes good decisions when they lose their temper. I mean, it's some of the dumbest things I've ever done was when I lost. Everyone knows that, but you start sliding those things in there that it's bad for your decision making, it's bad for relationships, it's bad for your health, it's bad for life. And again, you're not directly saying these things, you're subliminally saying it's, man, I remember one time I lost some of the dumbest things I ever did when I lost my temper, and I kicked the wall and I broke my toe and I put a hole in the wall and the landlord came. That's when I hate when I lose my temper. And you start getting them you get them thinking about it over time, and this is the thing, it's a long war, and there's going to be relapses along the way, but you got to just hold the line, keep it steady, absorb, and then flank gently to get them to start self-recognizing where they're at and what their temper does to them. Temper's crazy.
Yeah,
when you see people lose their temper, it's a total loss of control.
Yeah.
It's a total loss of control. And it's just doesn't do anybody any good. And when you see someone that really loses their temper, you're like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, and I used to lose my temper. And at some point I just realized, I forget what it was. I forget what made me, I think it was something my dad said to me. There's something about, something along those lines of like, yeah, you lose your temper. It's like a little baby.
Oh,
loss of control.
Okay, so you when you realized it, that's because of something your dad
my
said.
dad said to me, something along the lines of like, I think he was referring to an athlete or something, someone that just had no emotions, and how that was impressive.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is impressive.
It's massive control over oneself.
Just nothing is going to make me mad.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's going on around me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like a baby, Like I said, like babies, they cry and they whatever because they don't know how to talk. So if they knew how to talk and control everything, they'd just be like, hey, I'm cold. Or hey, I'm hungry. But they don't know how to talk.
So why do adults go crazy and cry?
Because they're babies.
Because they don't know how to talk?
If they cry for every little thing, they're babies. Yeah, they don't know how to talk. I say, actually, you know what? And it depends. It depends how much control and all these other little variables, but it's like the front part of your brain. That's the decision making, like the conscious, like, oh, okay, I'm going to make this conscious decision, right? Which is the last part of your brain to develop, by the way. And it's
the conscious decision making
Yeah,
thing?
the thing like
frontal lobe
cortex, something like this. And it happens and it fully develops around age 25, by the way. So if you're 24, 23, 22, 21, and so put simply, it's like, okay, my actions now, how do they affect the future? So in one way or another, it's going to be kind of surrounded on that little premise, small little premise. So otherwise, you're just going on straight auto mode. However you feel, that's going to influence, not going to totally control, but that's the thing that's going to influence your behavior. So times of stress, your frontal cortex start to shut down a little bit. Hunger, shut down a little bit. Hormonal situations for guys and girls.
Oh, so you lose your temper more. That's where hangry comes from.
Hangry is one of them, and it's like all these things, loss of empathy, loss of like all this stuff where your decisions just aren't that dope.
Yeah.
And so, and when I say hormonal, like that's why you get roid rage, because like guys, if they're on steroids, that's their hormones are up. Or girls PMSing, it's like a real, premenstrual syndrome is like real. Their hormones are all.
So I remember one time my wife started when she was pregnant. She started crying during an AT&T commercial, like legit crying.
It's on auto mode.
I was like, oh my god, what's wrong with her?
Man, some of those are kind of sad, man. They're just emotional. Nonetheless.
So why were you crying during Hawaii 5-0?
Oh man. I'm telling you, they're trying to make it deep, man. That show, you ever watch them nowadays? Anyway, nonetheless, it's back to losing your temper and stuff. It is a weak thing, so it's kind of obvious, especially from the outside, to see that look, losing your temper is not cool, and a lot of people, they think it's cool because it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good, and when you're a little kid, you respect it because you see someone lose their temper.
Ooh,
you're like,
you scary!
Oh my gosh, he's powerful. It's
powerful,
like being like turning into Superman, right?
Yeah, in a way. He's mean. He's feared. But, Brad, you're not feared, Brad. You look stupid.
Yeah, you look dumb.
And,
that's the message to convey to your kids.
Yeah.
Is that losing your temper is stupid.
Yeah. And man, some people, you could tell they say that stuff with a little bit of pride. It's just me and my temper. My temper's going to get me in trouble. And they're all like,
hothead.
Yeah, bro.
I'm a hothead, man.
That's like,
me.
That should be the
kind.
Yeah,
I do know you. I wish I didn't.
That should be, if you say, hey, I just have a temper, that should be the equivalent of you saying, I don't know how to read. It should be that, hey, nothing wrong with it. You can get past it and, whatever. I'm not going to judge you for it, but it's not good. It's not a good state to be in, to be someone who can't control your temper. Just like it's not a good state to be in as a grown adult to not know how to read. No judgment, but you just solve that problem. That's A. B, if you're having, if your kids have a temper and they're easy to anger, it's because chances are, I don't know everybody, of course, but chances are they got it from the parents. Keep in mind, you're one of those parents. I'm not saying that you have a temper. I'm not saying you don't, but I am saying, sure, kids have a temper, your wife has a temper, you gotta really honestly evaluate, do I have a temper? And understand that. Because the kids, they're just these little seeds of beings who are like, hey, how do I act? I don't know how to act. I'll act how, just how I feel. I'm going to cry. This is my default. I'm just going to cry when something's wrong.
So you're saying if the parents have a temper and show that and act that way, the kids will learn it from them.
Kids are going to learn it. So
there is something like genetic though. Maybe I guess we don't know if it's genetic or not, but there's some where the father has a bad temper and then the kid has a bad temper.
Yeah, but there's no temper gene. So what it is there's a genetic situation for sure that you're more apt to not be able to control certain parts of, or not be able to control, but control less. You know, certain parts of your brain or chemistry is going to make you lean towards certain types of behavior, like impulsive behavior or something like that. There is that for sure. But again, man, when you're a kid, you're just looking for, how do I act? I don't know. I'm growing up. I don't even know how to act. So the first thing you're going to look at is the people, the authority figures in front of you, the parents. If the parents aren't there, who are they looking to? I don't know. The guy next door, the guy on TV, the guy up the street, the guy in the music video, whoever. I don't know. Whoever's doing better than me. That's it. So if you're the parent and you're losing your temper all the time, kid's going to lose their temper. That's what they're going to learn how to act. So point there is, if you lose your temper, or if your kids are losing your temper, you start with yourself. Because you know the kind, there's certain things that's real easy to see when someone else does it.
Yeah, most things.
But it's really, you simply don't see it.
Well, it sounds like this guy here that asked this question, he's saying his wife loses his temper, and that could be where the kid is getting the modeling from, right? And he's saying he doesn't. Now, is there a chance that he does too? I guess so, but it sounds like he's pretty together, and he's saying, look, I just need to get them to calm down.
Right.
So, yeah. In this situation, I'd say it's probably the wife who's losing her temper, and then the kid is imitating or modeling, and then we have this scenario happening.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is explain to everyone in the family that it's not good.
We're not losing our tempers anymore. And the reason I say it too is, again, like, I'm not saying he does lose his temper, but I am saying that it is a possibility that, because if, let's say, me and you are husband and wife, and you lose your temper.
How about we're just bros?
Yeah, but we're in a,
Who's the wife?
Okay, me and my wife.
Okay.
If she loses her temper, and I'm taking the direct approach, right?
Yeah.
Which I understand now.
You're going to make her lose her temper more.
No, I'm going to lose my temper back. I'm going to go fire. I'm going to fight fire with fire. You raise your voice, I'm going to raise my voice. The kid's over there in the corner. How do I act? Oh, that's how I act right there. That's a possibility. And kids will become antisocial. That's the thing.
Goes on.
It's one of the things, one of the many things.
Antisocial.
I told you about that book called Mind Games. Small little book. Forget the author. It, pretty clearly and concisely laid out if you have anger issues. What up with that?
It's insecurities.
Changed my whole life. Low self-esteem.